Hey everyone, welcome back to K-Korner, the channel where we dive into the wild world of entitled people and their unbelievable stories. Hope you enjoy it, and without further ado, let's go. Fair warning, I'm a nerd, so I will be using video game names to disclose other names. Context: I'm a 19-year-old male with mild autism who had my first run-in with a difficult customer at work. If my story's a little sloppy, I apologize for any mistakes. Cast: Mangle. Me, K. Karen, awesome son. Karen's son, GLaDOS. Awesome manager, Lucky. Best friend, now on with the show. It was a typical afternoon at work at a place that rhymes with waif day. The store was crowded, and I was working up front bagging items for customers. One thing about me is that I always like making customers laugh with corny jokes and prop comedy. On this day, however, I was with GLaDOS, my awesome manager, bagging items when she appeared. She had the typical Karen look, blonde dyed hair, fake nails, and a snooty, spoiled voice and tone like from the movies. She also had a son around 15 years old who seemed like a normal lad. She walked up to the register, and GLaDOS greeted her and asked how her day had been. Karen's son was fake smiling and trying not to die of embarrassment. She had a huge load of items, almost 3 carts worth. I was bagging, and it became overwhelming, so the son offered to help. I thought at least the son was more friendly than her, but Karen yanked him back. The following conversation ensued. Awesome son. Ow mom. Karen, don't help, let them do it themselves. She sounded demanding and serious. GLaDOS, what the heck me? Rising anger. Level 1 GLaDOS. He was trying to help. Karen, no, he needs to learn not to be lazy, she said, this pointing to me. Me. Rising anger. Level 2. Then Lucky, my best friend, entered and heard what was happening. Lucky walked by, saw my rising anger, and patted me on the back to basically say, I'm right here in case anything happens. 2 hours later, well, it felt like it. All of Karen's items were in the carts, and the price was way more than my normal paycheck. Karen then gave GLaDOS a huge stack of coupons. GLaDOS scanned them, but they all came back invalid. GLaDOS told her this, and Karen went off yelling and screeching about horrible customer service and the usual Karen stuff. Awesome son stepped in and told her he knew this wouldn't work. Karen screamed at him to keep his mouth shut. At that moment, both GLaDOS and I realized something was really fishy. GLaDOS checked the coupons and saw they were expired. But somehow the date was wrong. At least that's what I understood. They were all a year off. GLaDOS explained that the coupons were forged. Karen retorted by yelling and screeching even more, calling us liars. Then she pointed at me and yelled as loud as day, and that, insert mild slur against disabled people, is the store's major problem. The whole store went dead quiet. My anger was skyrocketing. GLaDOS, Lucky, and many others were shocked that this person called me that. Awesome son was dying of embarrassment. Then GLaDOS told Karen to leave. Karen, I want to see the manager. GLaDOS, I am the manager, and I'm asking you to leave, or I'm calling the police. Karen, you and that, another mild slur towards disabled people, will be sued. Me. Anger over 9,000. Lucky, please tell everyone what you are suing Mangle and GLaDOS for. Lucky said this in a smug tone. Me. Waiting to pull the anger trigger. Karen looks around at everyone staring at her. Lucky, because I believe we have everything on camera with audio and hundreds of witnesses that would say otherwise. So it would be in your best interest to scram and never come back, or we can show the police the evidence of fraud and forgery you tried to scam us with. You could be in jail for a long time. So what's it gonna be? Karen went ghost white and fled the store without Awesome son. Awesome son apologized profusely for his mom's behavior, and we all heard tires screeching as Karen sped out of the parking lot. We had to call Awesome son's dad to pick him up. GLaDOS told me to clock out for the day to recover from the experience, and gave me the next day off as well. Last I know, Karen was put on the watch list and was forever banned from the store. I work with my family business. Not like I joined my father's established business, but we created it with my brother and parents when I was 18. Now around 14 years ago, we were working in the coal mines in Queensland, Australia. And we did small jobs for the mine like drive machinery off-site for sales or maintenance, etc. And I drove a machine off that was old but well cared for. It was only being sold because it was very old. I found out that the machine was going up for auction the next day and told my father about it, how good it was, and he had a friend bid on it for us. The plan was we would go 3 ways. One me, one my brother, and one my parents, and my brother and I would get to be part owners of a machine. We won the bid, and I think I was told to pay $35K for my share, and I did. Funny enough, the mine site we were on had a contractor working there that needed this type of machine, and a week later the same machine was back in the same place working again. My brother and I were told we would get 1/3 of the rental for the machine, and we were not great with keeping track out finances, so we just went on with life, assuming it was being taken care of by my parents. 3 months or so go by with the machine working nearly every day, earning I think around $100 an hour, and the guy we were renting it to tells us that he will need this machine for the foreseeable future, so he wants to buy it for more than we purchased it for. Done deal. Everyone is happy, and the sale goes through, and we are told that it will take some time for my brother and I to see our share plus the profit from the rent, and time goes on. I asked about it 6 months later, and my parents told us that we had been paid our share. I said I didn't think so, but they assured us we had. More time goes on, and when I ask again, then the money was used for tax, or they needed some for this or that. Fast forward 12 years later, and my parents buy a very expensive house, using the family business assets as collateral without talking to me. They start saying it's our house. I said it's not mine because I didn't put any money into it, but my brother did, around $80K I think, and my parents then said, "Oh, we put your share of that old machine sale in." Suddenly they now knew where the money was. Apparently, they just decided to keep my money and my brother's money as a sort of cushion because we didn't need it. We didn't have any dependents and weren't married, I am now, so they needed it more. Suffice to say, I keep my money separate now, and I don't lend them anything. I know I should be more outraged, but families are complicated, and I'm pretty sure I got a bit or brainwashing or something to get over. They have done a lot of shitty things to us over the years, but it's only obvious when looking back. My former boss is the worst human being I've ever met. He did all sorts of things to mess with anyone he didn't like. So a while ago, I was at a family event in a local park, walking with a young boy from our family who is developmentally disabled with Down syndrome. Ben. Ben does fairly well, all things considered, but he's always been sensitive to anyone making fun of the way he looks or his condition. We are just having a good time on our little stroll. Ben and I both enjoying the day. Along comes my boss walking toward us. I'll call him Rob. I cringe at seeing him but smile and say hello to play nice. Rob, there's something you don't see every day. A pair of ugly retards walking together. Ben bursts into tears as Rob laughs and walks off. I deal with Ben and ignore Rob. I'm super pissed and trying to calm Ben down because for a few minutes he was totally distraught. Finally, I get Ben to focus on how he has me and a lot of other awesome friends and family, and that Rob is a stranger, and what he thinks doesn't matter. We walked some more, and I saw that Rob was at the park with his wife and teen daughter, having a cookout, and he had apparently been on his way back to his family from a trip to the toilet when he saw us. Back to being super pissed. I went back to our gathering and talked to an adult cousin of mine, Jake, telling him what happened. Jake wanted to get revenge on Rob, but I reminded him that this was my boss. I didn't want Rob to be able to know the revenge had anything to do with me, because then he'd make my work life even worse than he already had. So Jake asked me for anything I knew about Rob that might help. I told Jake a bunch of things about Rob, but the relevant info here is that Rob liked to drink a particular kind of locally made beer at a certain bar. Rob had talked of having drank there on the previous Friday night while his wife and daughter were away visiting her family. Also, Rob had recently told a story at work about his wife's obsession with a particular little green fictional character. Let's call it Yabby Boda. Turns out his wife kept a stuffed Yabby Boda on their bed at all times. I wasn't there for the revenge setup itself because I didn't want Rob to see me, but Jake filled in the details afterward. It was basically this. Jake approached Rob and put an arm around his shoulders and tried to kiss him. Rob pushes him off. Rob, what are you doing? Rob's family is now paying attention. Jake, I am just so excited to see you, sweetie. Friday night was so amazing. Rob, what are you talking about? Jake, seriously, you're going to act like you don't remember now. I know you were a bit tipsy after all of those specific local beers at the local bar, but certainly you remember what happened later. Rob, nothing happened later, or ever. I don't even know your name. Jake, really, you were screaming it on Friday. Rob, turning red, you lying son of a. Rob's wife interrupting. Listen, I don't know who you are, but this is my husband. I'm sure you have him mistaken for someone else. Please just leave us alone. Jake, oh no, I'm not mistaken. We had the best sex ever on Friday night and now he's acting like he doesn't even know me. Rob's wife, I told you this is my husband. You're mistaken. Jake, oh maybe I am. I guess it was someone else who took me back to his place on Robb Street and had great sex with me on the bed right next to Yabby Boda. Sorry. Jake turns and walks away. Rob's wife, oh my God, Rob, what the F is wrong with you? You're gay now. Really? Already long story made a bit shorter. Rob's wife wasn't real happy with him anyway, and this was apparently the tipping point that made her file for divorce soon thereafter. Rob frequently complained at work in the following months about how he didn't care about his wife but really missed his daughter and how much it sucked to live in his new place compared to his old home. Every time he complained about his lack of a home life at work, I knew he did it to himself when he was mean to a developmentally disabled kid. The best part is he never figured out I was involved at all. I was just doing my usual New Year's shopping at Walmart, you know, getting ready to kick off the year with a bang. Grabbing snacks, maybe a new pair of socks, the whole deal. So there I am cruising the aisles, minding my own business when I notice this old guy. OG, we'll call him. He's looking like a lost puppy in a sea of dog treats. I figure, okay, he might need a hand. We've all been there, wandering aimlessly through the labyrinth of products. Anyway, OG is checking out some pasta sauce, and suddenly, bam, he bumps into this woman Karen with his cart. Now, accidents happen, right? Not in Karen's world. This woman goes from 0 to 100 real quick. She starts going off on OG, calling him a blind old fart and whatnot. I mean, OG was just trying to apologize, but Karen, she's on another level. She's telling him to stay at home if he can't see, throwing insults like it's a verbal wrestling match. Now, I'm not the kind of person to stand by when someone's getting bullied, especially not some OG just trying to buy his groceries. So, I step in. I walked up, tapped Karen on the shoulder and said, "Hey, ease up. No need to be throwing around insults like confetti." But oh boy, Karen wasn't having it. She turns her fury on me, gives me this look like I just insulted her cat or something. She starts swinging her arms trying to hit me. Now, I might not be a ninja, but I can dodge a wild swing or two. I told her, "Look, you need to chill. This isn't how we do things in Walmart. We're all here for the same reason, to get our stuff and get out." But Karen, she's not having any of that reasonableness. She's like a tornado of rage. That's when I decided enough is enough. I gave her a light punch on the shoulder, not trying to hurt her, just trying to snap her out of whatever angry trance she was in. "Behave and respect your elders," I told her, feeling like I just laid down some profound wisdom. She's fuming now, and security is rushing over. I signal them to call 911 because this situation is escalating faster than a TikTok trend. Karen, though, thinks she's some kind of superhero. She tries to make a run for it, weaving through the aisles like she's in an action movie. Security, though, they're on it. They catch her right at the exit like bouncers at a rowdy club. I couldn't help but smirk. It's like karma had a fast pass for her. They slap cuffs on her, and she's kicking and screaming, probably yelling about her rights or something. All I know is justice was served. Walmart style. The paramedics show up, checking on OG because, let's be real, that guy got the short end of the stick in all this. He's shaken, but okay. I give him a nod like, "You're good, man." He gives me this appreciative nod back, the kind of nod that says, "Thanks for not letting that crazy lady take me down." By this point, the whole Walmart is buzzing. People are gawking, some are cheering like we're in a sports stadium. It's like Black Friday came early for them. As for me, I just grab my stuff, pay at the register, and head out. The adventure of the day was over, and I had groceries to put away. So, there you have it. My epic Walmart saga. Who knew a shopping trip could turn into a mini action movie? Life's full of surprises, ain't it? Enjoying the stories yet? If you do, please subscribe, like, and comment. Backstory. I worked at this hotel for over 2 years and was one of 2 people left who went through the training when our hotel changed franchises. During this training, we were informed about certain company rules. Cast manager. The front desk manager, who had only been here for 4 to 6 months at this point. Me. A nice guy unless you are a bully or entitled person. Others. A few others I will mention as the story progresses. Story. One afternoon, I was scheduled to work the second shift from 3 to 11. When I walked in, both morning front desk coworkers looked like they had been crying heavily, with their makeup smeared. My manager appeared quite angry. I asked, "What's wrong?" The manager replied, "We have a major jerk as a guest. This guy is at the highest level in the rewards program for the hotel chain. He is very demanding, wants free upgrades, free this or that, and screams anytime he interacts with the staff. He has made every department call me to complain about him. Now this guy just came to the desk and screamed at these 2 coworkers until they were both crying. These 2 ladies were recent high school graduates and were very sweet and innocent people. They loved helping guests and didn't deserve this treatment." As he was explaining this, I looked up the guest's room details. Once my manager finished explaining everything this guy had done, I saw his info and had a smile from ear to ear. I replied, "Didn't you see he is an employee of a different hotel?" The manager said. "Yes, but so what?" I replied. "First off, when you travel as an employee, you are required to behave and be respectful. It is in the fine print on the discount form." I grabbed his form and showed it to the manager. Failure to be respectful can lead to having your employee discount suspended or permanently revoked, and even getting you terminated. You need to call this guy's hotel and ask for the general manager. Then explain to him who you are and what this guy is doing. I looked up the hotel phone number, called the hotel, and then handed my manager the phone. After his call ended with the general manager, my manager had a satisfied smile on his face. His general manager is extremely mad after I described all the things this guy has done. The main switchboard phone rang. I answered, "Hello, thank you for calling hotel name. How may I direct your call?" The caller said, "I want to speak to the entitled jerk's room, please." I replied, "Absolutely, sir. Have a nice day." I transferred the call and looked at my manager, saying in a sarcastic tone, "Someone wanted to talk to the entitled jerk. Gee, I wonder who that could be," the manager continued after he stopped laughing. The general manager gave me his personal cell phone number and said if I have any more issues at all to call him immediately. I am leaving the phone number next to the switchboard. If you need it, call him, I told the manager. Your revenge is done. Now for my revenge, the manager, wide-eyed, said. Oh no, what are you going to do? I smiled an evil smile and said, You'll see. I picked up the phone to make a call. Hello, Hotel Rewards Customer Service. Yes, I would like to report someone using a rewards account while using an employee discount on his stay. Customer service replied, He can't do that. I replied, I know. I am calling to report him. I gave her the guest reservation number and rewards member number. I continued, I bet anything if you dig through this guy's history, you will find all his stays are probably at an employee discount. Customer service replied, I am starting a ticket to have this guy's account investigated. I replied, Thank you, and hung up the phone. The manager watched as I then removed the guest's rewards number from his stay. My manager had a huge grin on his face. That was awesome, I explained. Oh, I am not quite finished with him yet. It is time to go spread the news to all departments that he is no longer a rewards member. I made a new key for his room without concierge access. I walked around to every department, and as I explained why I was stopping by, everyone had the same reaction as soon as I mentioned the guy's name. Oh no, now what about this jerk? I finished explaining how he was no longer a reward member, and if he gives anyone issues to call the front desk immediately. I added that his general manager probably already reprimanded him just a minute ago. Everyone was so happy at this news. I finally went to the concierge room, used the guest's new key to void his current key, and explained the information to the evening concierge. She cringed at the mention of his name. After explaining she would not have to deal with him again, I asked her to leave the morning person a note about this guy not being allowed in the concierge room anymore. She was very happy. While I was gone, the manager evidently explained what we did to the two morning front desk ladies. The minute I got back to the desk, both my front desk co-workers came up to me, gave me a huge hug, and thanked me many times. The manager said to me after the other co-workers went home, "Do me a huge favor, please." I replied, "Sure, what's up?" The manager said, "If I ever make you mad, please come tell me so I can fix the issue." Later that night, the entitled jerk came to the desk, hat in hand, politely saying his key didn't work. I replied, "Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Let me make you a new key," with the best fake smile I could muster. Aftermath. The next day, I checked his rewards account and it was now suspended. I checked back the next week. Sorry, account number not found. I promised my late friend that I wouldn't share this story until at least a year after her death. That time has passed, and this story is nothing short of beautiful. Cruel but beautiful. I'm going to switch to first-person point of view. This is the story as my late friend told me. I was an only child to two loving parents. Mom had a difficult pregnancy and an even harder labor. It was so bad that the doctor advised them never to try again. To avoid risking his wife's life, Dad got a successful vasectomy. I was sad that I didn't have any siblings, but I had a happy childhood until I was a young adult. When I was in the middle of college, Mom was diagnosed with stage 4 high-grade serous ovarian cancer, the most aggressive form of ovarian cancer. Mom's older sister and mother both died from it, so we knew her odds weren't good. I don't know what Dad was thinking, but he started an affair with his coworker, a woman just a few years older than me. The coworker began integrating herself into my and Mom's lives. She'd go shopping for us, keep the house in order, help me with homework, and even sit with Mom when she was going through chemotherapy and Dad and I weren't there. I had no clue. I just thought the coworker was being kind to a family going through hard times. Mom fought hard, but the odds were not in her favor. One day, I was visiting her in hospice, and we were playing chutes and ladders. Mom got real quiet and then told me, "You do know your dad isn't planning to reverse his vasectomy, right?" I was surprised, wondering what she was talking about. "Yeah, I know," I said. "Why?" Mom just looked at me and said, "I think you'd best keep it in mind." We continued playing, and when I left for the night, I kissed her, and she said, "You'll be fine on your own." She died that night. I believe she knew she was going to die and didn't want to scare me. Once again, the coworker was right by our side. She helped us plan the funeral, brought us food, helped out around the house, and slowly started moving her things in. It was like putting a frog in a pot of water and raising the temperature gradually. A year or so later, she had completely moved in and was part of our lives. I don't remember what made me suspicious enough to start digging, but start digging I did. I learned the affair began shortly after Mom's diagnosis. I was sickened, furious, and saddened. I took out my cell phone, ready to confront Dad and the coworker with the knowledge. But something else struck me. During one of her visits, the coworker mentioned to Mom and me that she wished to have children with her fiancé. Mom knew about the affair and trusted me to spill the beans. But I wanted to twist the knife further, so I decided to play the long game. It was a gamble with a good chance of not paying off, but it was one I was willing to take. I kept my mouth shut. I watched as they courted, got engaged, and married 3 years later. I squealed with delight when they announced their engagement to me, wore a proud smile on their wedding day, and made a toast at the reception. I even took extra steps to hide test results from Dad's urologist in such a way that the coworker wouldn't find them but Dad would. Believe me, I was internally screaming. I wanted the world to know how they hurt Mom and me during her darkest hour. I got dangerously close several times, but I said nothing, knowing the payoff would be worth it. Time passed. We played happy family. I got married to my awesome husband and had children. Dad and the coworker played doting grandparents, but I knew from the pained look on the coworker's face that she was bemoaning her empty nest. Just as I was beginning to give up hope, the day came. The coworker and I had started the tradition of getting together for coffee shortly after Mom's death. We'd talk about girl things, again, as I internally screamed. Laugh, cry, love, live, that sort of thing. That day, the coworker was sad and sullen. I could tell she had been crying. I asked what was wrong. I couldn't believe my ears when I heard why. She had been struggling to get pregnant for years but assumed it was stress from work. Then her periods started coming fewer and farther between. She decided to go to the doctor and find out why. It turned out she was entering perimenopause, and her chances of successfully getting pregnant had dwindled. The doctor told her, in essence, her childbearing years were over. As I made sympathetic noises, the coworker said, "It doesn't make sense. We tried so hard to have kids, but I wasn't able to get pregnant. I don't know why. It was then that I knew it was time." "You mean, Dad didn't tell you?" I said. "Didn't tell me what?" she asked. I was fighting every chance to smile as I played the "it's not my right to tell" and "I can't believe he didn't tell you" cards until she practically begged me. I should have won an Oscar for my performance. I told her about the vasectomy and that Dad had no intention of reversing it. You should have seen the coworker. She completely deflated like a balloon. Her shoulders slumped, she bowed her head, and she sobbed in her hands. I wanted to rejoice. I wanted to rub her face in it. I knew, though, that would make me look like the bad guy. So I hugged her and rubbed her back, telling her Dad was horrible for not telling her, that she deserved a different outcome, and that he completely wasted her time. Again, I was fighting not to smile. When she left, I told her I would always be there for her, but I knew she wasn't going to be part of my life anymore. Why would she be? I was the daughter of the man who betrayed her. Once she had left and I was alone, I wept with joy and relief that it paid off, but also deep sorrow that Mom hadn't been there to see it. That was the last time I saw or talked to the coworker. A few weeks later, Dad called me in a fury. The coworker had packed her bags and left, slapping him with divorce papers. She yelled at him for not being honest with her about the vasectomy, that he knew she wanted kids, and that she had wasted all her childbearing years, and that he had left it to me to tell her. He then said, "How could you do that to us? We loved you." I then said in a cold tone, "You and Mom did a good job teaching me how to keep secrets." I hung up, and that was it. I never spoke to him again. Last I heard, he and the coworker were divorced, and everyone shunned him because of his secret. I know I won't be joining Mom after I die. What I did was cruel. It was horrible. I should have done what Mom wanted and spilled the beans beforehand instead of wasting the coworker's youth and childbearing years. Even if she could adopt, she'd probably die before her children were fully grown. Although, it's hard to have compassion and mercy for a woman who integrated herself into my dying mom's life while she was betraying Mom. Background, ****. I am a big guy, 6 feet, 275 pounds, and I am not all muscle. I used to play soccer as a kid until I was 17 years old when I took a nasty knee injury that ended my hopes of playing professionally. I started to gain weight over the years, partly due to bad habits and a lack of exercise. I reached 325 pounds at one point, and it felt like I was about to die. That's when I decided enough was enough, and it was time to turn my life around. I started eating healthy and slowly picked up the exercise bug again. I also joined a 6A-side soccer league in my city, where my friends had a team and invited me to play. I would play soccer once a week, go to the gym 3 times a week, then rest and relax. It was great. On a soccer pitch, you don't expect 300-plus-pound guys to be running around or even be skilled enough to dribble through defenders. Most teams wouldn't even mark me. I played as a striker, until I scored a goal or dribbled through 2 of their players. That earned me some respect on the pitch. I had competitor players come to compliment my performance after the games. I even made friends with league coordinators, who at times cheered me after a nice pass or goal. It was just great. I felt I was alive again. The incident, ***, at the time of this story, I had lost about 30 pounds. I was around 295 pounds. We were playing a long winter league, which consists of 14 games over 14 weeks, and we knew almost every team in the league, except for one team. It was the fourth game of the season, and we were scheduled to play the new team. They were a bunch of big guys who looked like they were straight out of a mixed martial arts competition. The game started as usual. I was not marked. I literally had enough space to park a truck with no defender giving me a thought. I received the ball, ran for the goal, and then buried it in the bottom corner. Easiest goal ever. 5 minutes later I did it again. Now I had their attention, and I was being marked by a guy who we will call Jerk. Jerk tried every trick to take the ball from me and failed. The more he tried, the more frustrated he became. Then at one point I had the ball, dribbled, and did a body feint, and he dropped to the ground trying to correct his direction. I crossed the ball, and we scored the third goal. It was humiliating, but I didn't mean it like that. He stood up, walked right next to me, and said, "Jerk, you think you're having fun, fatty, me. You're not really going to talk bad at a recreational soccer game, are you, Jerk? I am not talking bad. I am just asking if you're having fun, me. Yeah, I am. And you, Jerk. I will have my fun in a bit." I didn't really know what he meant, but I didn't give it a thought. A few minutes later, I received the ball again. Jerk was a step or two behind me. The next thing I knew, my left foot, the one planted on the ground as I received the ball with my right foot, was twisted. I heard a loud popping sound from my ankle, and I was on the ground. A moment later, a jolt of excruciating pain in my ankle made me groan like an elephant had stomped on my foot. Jerk had taken an illegal sliding tackle on my left foot, tearing my ankle under my body weight. Then he literally stood up, leaned down on me, and said, "Now I had my fun." I was out of the game. Fast forward 24 hours. My ankle was swollen to the size of a large grapefruit. I saw a doctor who diagnosed that my anterior talofibular ligament had a second-degree tear. This is the strongest ligament in your ankle, by the way. I couldn't play any sport and could only use my feet lightly for a minimum of 8 weeks. I made sure I submitted an incident report to the league after the game and kept all the receipts for medical treatment as a result of the injury. It took a toll on me emotionally, as it reminded me of my old knee injury that ended my soccer dreams. I was determined not to slip into depression again. Even though I could no longer go to the gym or the pitch, I was still eating healthy and spent the next 8 weeks planning my revenge. It took me 9 weeks to recover, which was better than the sports specialist predicted. I was back in the last game of the season before the 2 playoff games. We were playing Jerk and his team again. I had spent my whole recovery time doing my very best to get ready to make that game. I took the physiotherapist's advice and applied it to the letter, doing anything and everything to ensure I was good to play. I made it. Now it was time to exact revenge. The revenge. I concocted a plan with my friend Dave to exact revenge on Jerk. One that would leave him with a permanent memento from yours truly. Jerk likes to stay behind and then make a vicious tackle, push, or shove when the player he is marking is about to receive the ball. I was going to use that against him in the worst way. In the game, I made sure Jerk felt like I was scared of him. When I received the ball, I got rid of it too quickly. And if I was dribbling, I either passed it or let it go as if I was avoiding contact. This encouraged him to stay with me and to scare me even more. He literally played the first 15 minutes of the game with a smug look on his face. That was about to change. About 20 minutes into the game, we got a corner kick. Dave went to play the kick, and I stood in the box with Jerk 2 steps behind. Dave was about to take the kick, then he stopped and nodded no. This meant Jerk was no longer in position, and we couldn't do what we planned. This happened a couple more times. Then it was the 4th corner kick towards the end of the first half. Dave was taking the kick. He looked at me and nodded. Yes, Jerk was 2 steps behind me, and was marking me again. I put my hand up and shouted, "Here, Dave." Jerk now committed to me. Dave then played this sweet perfect cross right above my head level. Jerk went on to do his standard come from behind and do something nasty routine. At that very moment, I planted both feet on the ground, expecting the shove from behind, leaned backward and launched my body towards Jerk. He was going for the ball with his head, and I was going with my head for his face. He perfectly planted his face in the back of my head, his head going forward, and my head going backward. I swear I could hear his nose break on the back of my head. We both fell to the ground, and I dropped with my whole 290 pounds on top of him, catching him with my elbow straight into the eyebrow. As I turned around on the ground, he had a cut on his eyebrow. His nose was broken and literally pointing to the left, and he was bleeding. I shouted, "First aid kit here, please," then told everyone I was first aid certified, and started sitting him up and leaning his head back to stop the bleeding. In the process, I pinched his nose to check if it was all right, and he screamed like a little girl. Then I said, "Oh, it seems your nose is broken." League coordinators carted him out, and an ambulance picked him up a few minutes later. After the game, he sent a message saying he was suing me for intentionally breaking his nose and cutting his eyebrow. The league coordinators did not support his incident report, and said that it was he who went for me from behind, and that I couldn't have anticipated that, let alone injure him so badly if it weren't for his own force. They also indicated that I was the first person to provide first aid to him after the fall. He had no leg to stand on, and his claim was dismissed. Then I sent him a letter from my lawyer letting him know I was suing him for my injuries 9 weeks prior, supported by doctors' reports, physiotherapy reports, and the league's incident report, where the league coordinators concluded that his tackle was both illegal and deliberate. He had received a warning from the league that he would be permanently banned for such behavior. The league then went on to ban him from participating in the games. He reimbursed me $2,300 in medical costs. I scored 3 goals that game. We won and made it to the playoffs. Then we beat them again in the playoffs and won the league. I am still on track with my weight loss. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more captivating stories. Share your own experiences and opinions in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay tuned for more epic tales.